Hello and welcome to the Legendary Ladies podcast. This time around, we are talking about Bridgerton. Isn't that
Ah!
exciting? Isn't Kat
Ah!
psyched? So we decided very wisely to just drop Kat into Bridgerton season 3. No need
Why
for any
not?
context or,
Mhm.
backstory on what's happening. She doesn't
No.
need that. She's just hopping right in season
There's
3. So
secrets. There's
Yep.
relationships that exist that I'm guessing have existed in previous
There
seasons.
sure
And
there sure are, and there sure have. Yeah, we wanna drop her into this season where it's like a friends to lovers thing,
Yeah.
where you kind of need to
Yeah.
have the pre-existing
oh, they
relationship
are
with the
friends,
characters.
Kaya.
We
Yes. Yeah,
we
she's mad at
decided
him, but whatever.
a period English romance
Perfect for
Regency
me.
drama
This is
would really just be totally up Kat's alley, but actually it's up
Always.
Morgan and Mai's alley
we
really
know what
intently.
Kat likes, and we're just like, "We're gonna give you this one, Kat."
No.
So
Give me this.
We did this for us.
So
Kat is on the bandwagon.
we're doing kind of a pilot pod, but by pilot pod we mean we're just going to be talking about the first episode of Bridgerton season 3. Now, Kat sadly did not continue on with it. She did not
Or went
continue
back.
on our journey with us. But Amy and I have both already mainlined the first half of the season. So we will be talking for a Patreon exclusive about the entirety of season 3 part 1 um uh, a little bit later. So if you're a Patreon supporter, just hold tight for that. We will be talking about the whole season, but in this episode we're just going to be talking about episode 1. So if you're like listening to it and you've watched all of it and you're like, why aren't they talking about the carriage scene or whatever, it's like, sorry, that's not in episode 1 and we're not going to talk about it, but we will.
Isn't every
Don't
scene
worry.
a carriage
will.
scene?
Oh,
I
we
don't
will.
No,
Cat's
Kat.
Cat's like, what does this?
Cat
Oh,
love.
Cat,
Cat.
the carriage
There
scene.
is an infamous carriage scene. So
Woo.
it's worth noting, Kat, that this is based off a book series, right?
I
And
got the gist of that.
You got
'cause of
that vibe?
Yeah, I got that vibe.
So they have talked about how this particular season is very heavy in like book accuracy, even more so than the last two seasons.
Oh, I didn't
so
know
a lot
that.
of the writers, a lot of the actors have talked about it. The gal who plays Penelope, she's talked about how many scenes are literally word for word. And
Oh, wow.
all it took was me liking 2 or 3 Bridgerton videos on Instagram
Incredible.
for every single reel to have become Bridgerton, and I'm okay with it.
Oh,
And a
you're in the
lot of them
Bridgerton.
are-
You're in the
yeah.
Bridgerton algorithm now.
Oh my gosh, the Bridgerton algorithm, it's great. And what's happened is that a lot of people, since there are definitely like literally word for word scenes, people have done cutouts of the scene with the book in the
Really?
bottom, and it's really fun to watch. Like the carriage scene.
Oh, Amy,
Is
please
that-
send me these.
I will start sending you these. So we do have Danny in the chat.
Yeah.
Danny is one of our patrons. Danny is so excited that we're talking about this. Danny
Danny
is
says
thrilled
Netflix
because
knows you have watched the carriage scene multiple times.
also, I am not kidding. I think I know that the algorithm definitely obviously knows what I'm watching on Netflix, right? Even if I haven't talked about it, it's connected. It knows what I'm doing. But I am not kidding, Morgan. I finished that episode. I was like,
Yeah.
I open up my Instagram and the first reel that pops up is what Colin says when he gets out of the carriage. And I was like, that is the world's biggest spoiler. And I was telling my friend about it. And
Thank God
they
you
were
watched
like,
it.
yeah, but that's what I said. And he was like, it's possible that Netflix, like that it knew. That it knew what episode you were on. I was like, you know what?
Wi-Fi, like your IP
Yes.
address.
Yep. And I was like, if that's the case, they need to be better about it. If they are
Yeah,
going to know what
don't
episode
even
I'm watching,
potentially
that
spoil me.
specifically, like, come on, don't spoil things for me.
How
Be
dare
better.
you spoil me? Yeah, exactly. How dare you?
But-
What if I hadn't finished?
What if I shit yet?
What if I paused halfway through?
Yes, how dare. But no, I definitely think they know. So we have Danny in the patron chat. So we'd like to actually go ahead and make a quick announcement about our Patreon. So those of you who have been with us since we were the legendary, or the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, RIP Legends, love you.
Pour one out.
We have had our patreon.com/thelegendaryladies for a while, and we've had a couple of different perks like exclusive content as well as the ability to join live streams, but we've also had some levels that were kind of not really being used right now, and Patreon has rolled out a few new features, including access to a chat, which is basically like a long-standing chat in the Patreon app that we get access to, Patreons get access to, and literally you can just talk to us and we can talk to you and we can create different categories. So maybe Morgan and I will have a Bridgerton chat where we can all nerd out about Bridgerton chat stuff. Oh my gosh.
I'll be in it
yes.
too. Don't worry.
It's like, I'll be in it. I'm not gonna like talk about the show, but
I'll talk
I'll
about
watch
Dairy
it.
Girls, but
oh,
Yes.
such a good show. Such a good show.
one thing I would say about just quickly, one thing I thought would happen is that this would be a funny show a little bit, because I'm like, Claire from Dairy Girls is so funny. She's the wee little lesbian, and she's not funny in this at all.
Wee lesbian.
Not at all.
She's not, and she's such a good comedic actor. I'm like,
She's
wow, it's so weird.
So funny. Yeah.
She's really good. Her like comedic timing and her delivery altogether is just exceptional.
You wouldn't know with this episode, but
no, but that you wouldn't have known either. She's been through the ringer, okay? Poor Penelope Featherington.
She has been through things, mostly about her outfits, her terrible outfits, but
and
she has a secret. And was the secret in a previous season? Is it in this season?
Okay, we will get to.
We're gonna get there.
Okay, first off, it's hilarious that you went in completely not knowing. That's amazing. I didn't even think about that. We will get to it, but Amy, I want you to tell.
Tell us about the Patreon first. Yeah.
Because this will take like an hour.
Yeah. So the Patreon levels that we're updating, we are creating 4 tiers. So we've had 4 tiers before, but we're kind of modifying them. We're gonna have a $2 tier called the Thank You for Being Legendary tier, and that is just your way of contributing, saying thank you. You know, it's a way to support us. We really appreciate that. You'll get a thank you on our website, and we'll do a shout out on the podcast for our new subscribers. Thank you. But we really just want to say thank you for being a listener, and that's your way. If you want to help us, support us, that's the way to do it. The next level, which is the most popular level, is the $5 Epic Listener level. And that is going to be the same stuff as the $2 level, but you're also going to get access to the Patreon chat, and you're going to get access to all of our bonus episodes and exclusive content. So for instance, the Bridgerton episode that Morgan and I are going to record, you get access to that. So you're going to get access to the bonus episodes, you're going to get access to the exclusive content. It's very similar to our $5 level now, except we're adding in access to the Patreon chat. So if you're on the $2 level, you don't get the Patreon chat access. The next level that we're going to do is the $7 level. This is called the Legendary Listener level. It's everything we talked about before, the Patreon chat, website thank you, bonus episode, and exclusive content. And you're going to get access to 1 live recording a month. And that's going to be an episode that we randomly pick. It could be something where we think it's going to be attractive to the Patreon listeners. It could be completely random. And on these live recordings, you get to join in the chat like Danny is now. And we usually post it as early as we can. If we know we're recording, we will actually start regularly sending out reminders of, hey, we're going to be recording this episode. So if you'd like to join us, this is the episode that you get to join us each month. And you're going to get one a month.
Yeah, and sometimes we record a lot earlier than we post.
This episode is a few days early.
Yeah.
So
and sometimes
Danny gets to hear our thoughts.
Occasionally
much
we
sooner.
double record also.
Yeah.
Which means that you might get an episode like a week early, up to a week early sometimes.
And you will still get access to the live chats as you're joining it. You can then go back and watch it. Even if you cannot join us for the live recording, you will still have the link for that live recording, so you can go back and listen to it early. Yep. The last level is going to be what we're calling the heroic listener level. Although I might change those names around. I think maybe we'll do legendary listeners the best and heroic is the middle. I don't know. Danny, you're listening in the chat. You're a patron. You get to decide, is legendary the higher tier or is heroic the higher tier?
I think Legendary is the higher tier. That's
I
fine.
think
I
so
think
too.
so, yeah.
All right, there it is. As long as
One
Danny
of
agrees,
us.
that's what we're
One
doing.
of us.
And the heroic listener is going to be the bonus episodes, the exclusive content, the Patreon chat, and you're going to get access to every live recording. So it doesn't matter if it's a random one, doesn't matter what time it is, you're going to get access to every live recording. So that's what that level is now. Plus, you're also going to get to do an episode request a year. So it could be something like, you really want us to do, I mean, who knows? If you really want to, you could make Kat watch Bridgerton season 1.
You could.
If you
No,
want.
you wouldn't actually do that.
You could do that. You could do
Not
that
a whole
to her.
season. I would watch
Just
an
like
episode.
the pilot pod.
Yeah.
The pilot would be interesting. The pilot's so different than what it is now.
It's
But
very different, yeah.
so basically the difference between the $7 and $10 level, $10 level, you get access to every live recording plus an episode request a year. $7 level, you don't get the episode request and you only get one live recording a month. But we generally record once a week, so that's still access to one out of the 4 episodes we record every month. And again, you get to join in the live chat. So you get to participate in it, then go back and watch it as many times as you want, even before it comes out. So we will be updating all of these on our patreon.com, which is patreon.com/thelegendaryladies. We really, really, really want to grow our Patreon friends and family. We've got a lot of really wonderful, loyal patrons who we're so grateful for. You guys supporting us allows us to not only do this podcast, but gives us the opportunity, like for me, it was the opportunity that I needed to get a little bit nicer sound equipment, which I have since used for many things, which have led to other things. So I have been very, very grateful for that. You guys also helped me cover gas for my theater. So thank you.
Our Libsyn fee, some of our Libsyn fees, some of our StreamYard fees.
StreamYard.
We have a website.
All of our fees.
You know, it's not like anything is like super incredibly expensive, but it all adds up when you put it on top of each other. So you're helping us make this podcast, which we always really appreciate. And also, we just kind of like talking to you guys.
Yeah. And our
I agree.
patrons are a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to rolling out that chat feature and getting an idea of kind of what they want to talk about on a regular basis, nerding out about things. So again, feel free to join us on Patreon. And if you're like, I don't know if I want to do the $10 level, I kind of want to see what a live stream is like, that's what the $7 level is for.
Test out the 7.
Test it out. Danny in the
do a
chat
whole
says,
Patreon on that.
I would love to hear Kat's thought on the lack of sexual education for the woman in Bridgerton. It's so bad.
Kat, if you said this season, it was actually it's a huge plot point in season 1 that one of the characters like doesn't know how babies are made.
Literally, like he spoiler? Should we tell her? Let's tell her.
Yeah. He's basically like, I cannot have children, but it turns out he just doesn't want to have children, so he's just not doing the thing that would make children.
At least not where it should be getting done.
To completion.
Is he a character that's still in the show?
No,
actually.
The actor is like,
the character is.
I'm too sexy for Bridgerton. And I was like, sir, look around you. Everyone's sexy here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's actually something that, Morgan, I'm excited to talk about is how they worked Canthony into this season.
Yes, I thought they did
clearly giving the actors a...
Oh, the actor left last season and is now...
Yeah,
the
actor for
the one actor we were talking about was from season 1, and usually like the mains from the season before will like kind of pop up in the next season to be like, look at, we're still here and happy or whatever. But the main guy from season 1 decided not to come back for any subsequent seasons ever again. But yeah, Danny says multiple women don't know how babies are made. Multiple. At one point they say like that being pregnant is catching, like it's like you could catch pregnancy.
Yeah. And
I'm glad that they're all educated so well, and honestly, and obviously, like, is Bridgerton, I'm sure, whatever, but like also like no queer representation from what I could see, obviously.
Yeah,
there was a moment in like season 1 where it seemed like one of the Bridgertons might be gay. And
I thought that's what they were going for Francesca this season.
I felt like that's what I thought they were doing for Francesca.
Did you find that too? Yeah.
I was like, okay,
And
I
then they
thought
didn't.
it was gonna be what's the brother who's got the B name? Is it
I thought you were gonna say the beanie.
That's what I thought
like,
too.
That
Yes.
I
doesn't
thought
make
they were going
sense
to do
with
that for
Bridgerton.
Benedict.
Benedict? Your thumbs up has come back. But yeah, in season, I think it was like season 1 or season 2, it seemed like they were going in that
Yes.
direction for Benedict, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so fun. I'm so excited we have a gay
Mhm.
here." But no, it doesn't feel like that's what they're doing at all. Then I thought this season, early on, Francesca didn't seem interested in any men, and I was like, "Interesting. Is she interested in some other people maybe?" But
Uh-huh.
no, that's not the way that
I
they're going with that either, so
I
we have to have at least
still
one
think
gay one. There's 8. What are
well,
the odds?
there
At least
are,
one.
but the challenge
Give
is
us
that they're
one.
working with the source material, and so they're basing it off the books. But you know who's not based on the source material, whom I think would be an excellent choice for LGBTQ representation, is Cressida. I think it would
Yes.
be. I think Cressida's
I
character would
love
be
that.
a wonderful
I love
choice.
that for Cressida. I love that for
Yes.
where her character is actually kind of going this season. It feels like she could
Mhm.
really work that in pretty organically.
Absolutely,
Where
absolutely.
her life seems to be heading.
Also, was there a huge gap between last season and this season? Because they kind of make like a joke about it in the beginning where they're like,
Summer.
it's been a long time.
Yes,
It's
I
been
think
like
there
a
was
couple of months.
but I think between the seasons, I think the last full season of Bridgerton came out in like 2022. So
Okay.
yes, it's been like 2 years, I think between Bridgerton seasons, because I think last year the spinoff came out.
There's a
Oh,
spinoff?
yeah, there's a Queen Charlotte spinoff. So the lady with the crazy hair, the queen with the crazy hair, there's like
Mhm.
a prequel backstory
Yeah.
season dedicated to her. Now I will
Which
say
is
I have not yet
actually
watched it.
written. Me neither. I haven't watched Queen
Yeah,
Charlotte, and
me
Queen
neither.
Charlotte is not a book. Queen Charlotte was written
Mm.
by the writers of Bridgerton with the author's help, and then turned into a book, a novelization.
Oh,
But
they
that one was
novelized
actually,
the season too?
yes.
Weird.
So that was actually, if I got that correct,
They went
that's
in
actually
reverse.
what they did. They went in reverse because
So
it was
this-
so popular.
This is a modern book series
Correct.
that was popular before the show, or did the show make
Correct.
I
it
think
popular?
well, it's made it much, much more popular. I think it was a
Yes.
book series that, and I don't really want to. I don't know when it came out. The book
The
series.
book series is
Bridgerton
by
book.
Julia Quinn, and I believe that the first book is The Duke and
2000,
I.
I think, came
Yeah.
out.
Okay, so modern-ish.
Yeah,
And
like
think of
it's been
these-
around for a while.
Think of these as the airport romance novels. It was that kind of stuff, like the ones where you see the pretty flowy dress girl on the front cover, or like the Highlander on the cover, kind of a thing, like the ones you would see in the grocery stores, kind of a thing. But then
It felt like it was trying to be, I don't know, like a Jane Eyre, the gothic type.
Yeah, they're going
stories.
for that period of time, like the Regency period of time, sort of like the time where Jane Austen was like writing some of her
Yes.
books and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I'm not saying this is Jane Eyre because it's not as
no.
traumatic, but it
Or
felt
gothic.
like this. Well, because Jane Eyre, that's like Wuthering Heights, like not Wuthering, Wuthering Heights. Is that what
Wuthering.
that's Wuthering Heights? Like that's a gothic period in my brain. And again, I haven't read them since college,
Yeah.
but like it's a gothic period of books, and
I think that Gothic has
Regency.
more to do. Yeah, I think Gothic has more to do with like the vibe and the atmosphere. The Regency is more just like the time period it took place in. So I think Regency is like what 1820s, 30s, around there.
Yes, and Regency is
I have no clue.
like costume wise, Regency is the one with those empire waists that have it's a lot more, let's take a turn around the room and let's find a husband. The Gothic vibe is a little bit more mystery, castles deep in northern England.
But Dairy Girl Claire has a secret. There's a mystery behind it.
So
you can still have mysteries in Regency.
So I did want to hop in and say the Regency period is between 1795 and 1837. So that's things.
Period.
things that took place in that period, like if it's writing or if it's whatever, it like that would you would say it was set in the Regency period. So that's sort of where this is set, where it's like Amy
Okay.
said, like they took a turn about the room. They're just sort of sitting at their pianoforte, that kind of stuff.
That's something I kind of
Knitting,
noticed in a
knitting.
season 3. Yeah, it was a very lot of talking. There's not like your Netflix moment, at least in my, again, don't know what happens in the future, don't know what happened in the past. I was just like, there's
literally
not
all
a big
talking.
moment.
This is not action.
No, but
this
not
is
like
not
an action. But I mean, there's no big moment where it's just like, whoa, look at that cliffhanger.
Excuse me,
There's-
when
there's
Penelope had her makeover, that was a big
and
moment.
her Cinderella moment.
Her
This is a big
Cinderella
moment.
I
No, it
cried.
wasn't.
I
No,
laughed.
it wasn't.
I cried.
I did too. Let's go back real fast.
Yes.
And kind of make sure our listeners know I have watched Bridgerton. Morgan has watched Bridgerton.
I have watched all of Bridgerton. Besides Queen Charlotte, I'm a big fan.
Which Danny does say is very good.
Amy has watched all. Yeah, Danny says Queen Charlotte is worth checking out. Amy has watched all of Bridgerton seasons 1 and 2 and 3. Kat has watched none of Bridgerton. She has watched one episode that was season 1, episode 1.
Lady Whistledown is.
I did not realize that she didn't know that. I did not think to inform her about it. It is very funny. Okay, so
the way you guys, but the way you, let me also say this. I told Amy, I was like, hey, I don't know if I'm a good fit for this episode. I don't think I should be on it. And then Amy's like, no, I want to hear your thoughts. Season 3, it's new watcher friendly. It's a new couple. You'll be fine.
I thought it would be.
To be fair, I also thought it would be new watcher friendly. Season 2 was. I mean, there were some stories that continued from season 1 to season 2, but I feel like way less than from season 2 into season 3. It's become very serialized now, and I didn't think about it because the two main characters in season 3 have been reoccurring, and their storylines have been kind of building up over season 1 and season 2. Whereas, in season 2, we saw a little bit of Anthony, but all you really needed to know is that he had a girlfriend they had to break up. Okay, you can start in.
Yeah.
But Penelope has so much backstory from season 1 and season 2, and so does Colin, and so does the relationship between those two characters. I did not think about it that it might be a little bit confusing to just hop on in here.
It was, because I remember she's walking to town and she's looking at all these girls. I'm like, Claire, is that you? Are you gay?
Claire.
I guess not. And then again, all these other people just show up. I'm just like, okay, so I guess
why is Claire acting so heterosexual?
Exactly. I'm like, that's so weird. Where's the wee little lesbian? And then there's these people that are already coupled up, and I'm just like, did they show up in the previous seasons? Are they? Yeah, so I was just like, I already was very confused by that. There was nothing about this season, that is new watcher friendly.
No, retrospectively, we should have either done a pilot pod.
We've made a mistake.
We definitely have. Or we should
have. What about this show do you think I would have liked?
How dare you? Everything. It's beautiful. It's romantic. It's dramatic. Okay, so Danny says Lady Whistledown is Julie Andrews, and that is very true. Lady Whistledown is Julie Andrews. Okay, Kat, if you had to guess right now the identity of Lady Whistledown, the lady who writes all the gossip in her little gossip sheets,
the town.
Yeah, who would you think it is right now? Because
I thought it was just Gossip Girl. You didn't know who she was. I thought it was XOXO.
For a hot second, and then you
did,
and then I thought it was just a tool to be used for the real author to say what she wanted to say. So I was just like, maybe that's it because it's based on a book.
So basically, Lady Whistledown does operate like Gossip Girl. I would say that's the kind of the closest.
Right.
She absolutely is like Gossip Girl. Unlike Gossip Girl, her identity actually does matter to the story, and it makes more sense than the identity of Gossip Girl ultimately did.
Don't say that.
Don't take that away from me. And
don't take Kristen Bell away from us.
And we found out in last season who Lady Whistledown was. Now, if you had to guess just right now, based on one episode, who would you think it was?
Probably
one of the characters.
The girl that's not interested in anybody.
Oh, Francesca?
Francesca?
Yeah, I mean, because
Fun
she's on the outside looking in.
Fair. No, you know what?
okay.
That's not a bad guess.
You are on the right track. It is the
Is it that
character
queen
who
woman?
is a wallflower. No, 'cause
No,
the queen
the
gets
queen's
referenced.
mad at Lady Whistledown.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I have no
Lady
clue.
Whistledown is Morgan.
It's Penelope. It's Claire.
Oh, and she's what? Thinking she's. Why did you guys expect me to watch a season? But she did what? There was no connection to that this episode.
There
okay,
was if you knew what to look for.
There's
so
actually
we
a
could
lot
not
of.
say
I don't know. How would I know what to look for?
There's actually a lot of connect. So the reason that Claire and her friend Eloise are fighting
Who's
is
Claire? Claire is not Claire?
Oh, Claire. No, Penelope.
Penelope.
I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
talking about Dairy Girls again. Penelope and Eloise are fighting. Eloise is Penelope's friend. The reason they're fighting is because Eloise learned in last season that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, and Lady Whistledown has talked some mad shit about her family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the Bridgertons is a family. Penelope has her family.
Penelope is
family.
a Featherington. They're across the street.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
And they're poor.
Which is why
they're
Penelope
more poor.
likes to sit in her window.
So
because
the
she's looking at Colin.
The Bridgertons are elites.
Yes.
Not like royalty.
No, they're just rich.
She's a viscount, like viscountess. They're kind of like upper middle, not middle class. They're like lower elites. They're not dukes. They're not like they still want to marry a duke. They're lords and ladies, but they are not quite rich enough to own multiple estates.
They're whole show is just about who they're marrying. Rich. That's what the whole show is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
But
it is.
That's
about,
exactly what it's about.
Each season is a different marriage trope or a dating trope. So, for instance, we know
it's all
you like the fake dating tropes. That was season 1.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is friends to lovers, I'm guessing?
Correct.
This is friends to lovers.
Season 2 was enemies to lovers.
Yes.
Still the best.
Oh, they were.
Who were the people sleeping? Who was the people sleeping with each other? Were they a previous?
Yes, that was last season's main couple, Anthony and Kate. They were like the enemies to lovers. They had great chemistry. Jonathan Bailey is just, oh my God.
Who is like he can have chemistry with as I think it was
he's a charming
Ryan
man.
Said that Emily Blunt could have chemistry with the trash can, and I was like, yeah, that's
Jonathan Bailey
can
too.
Have chemistry with a trash can.
I know. I mean, how good was he in Fellow Travelers, though, Amy? We watched the first episode of that, and they had crazy good chemistry. Him and Matt Bomer.
It's the way his eyes work, and this like little sideways smile he does.
Oh, he smirks. Yeah.
The smirk is so good because you're like, oh, there's about 50 different emotions in that. Smirk.
He and Kate had such good chemistry in the last season.
Good.
Oh my gosh,
good.
So fun.
So this might be kind of fun if maybe we give Kat a break for a second here, and Morgan, you and I just talk about what we love, and Kat gets to join in.
And Kat can just hop on in.
Yeah.
I'll
hop on in.
We loved about the season.
Yeah,
loved it all.
I will say, I think the fun thing about this season was like, which is also the reason it was a terrible season to introduce Kat to it, is the build up from that Colin and Penelope have had slowly and steadily over the other 2 seasons of watching like Penelope kind of like be wistful after this guy and have a huge crush on Colin and sort of see their relationship and their friendship develop, and then get her to finally have her big makeover moment where she was like, okay, I'm hot now. I'm wearing clothes that fit me properly. My hair isn't bad. And everybody go, ooh. I loved that moment at the ball when she comes in. She's like, guess what, bitches, it's over for you guys. I'm hot now.
This is a couple that you always knew was gonna happen.
Well, and so that's what's interesting is because the book series are out, each book is a different Bridgerton sibling falling in love with whomever they're going to fall in love with.
So there's 8 books.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's 7 siblings?
Wait,
It'll
aren't
be
there 8? I
books.
thought there were 8.
I thought there was
I thought
8.
there were 8 siblings. I think there's 8
Daphne.
Bridgertons.
Daphne, Antony, Benedict,
You can
Hyacinth,
tell that the Bridgerton
Francesca.
parents are insane because they named each of their kids a different letter of the alphabet starting. Anthony, Benedict, Colin, Daphne,
Only a little
Eloise,
insane.
Francesca.
Hyacinth.
Hyacinth
Little
is a terrible
Do
one.
they
Yeah,
go
and
in order? A, B, C, and now next
No,
will be
actually,
D? Oh,
the first one's
actually
Daphne.
they do. The first one's Daphne. The second
one's
one is Anthony. The third one is the third book is actually
Benedict?
Benedict's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so
The
what happens
TV
to
show hasn't been going in order, though.
what happens to that Francesca character that everyone thinks is queer coded? Does she have a book? Whatever her
She
name
does.
is with F.
She
I'm
does,
sure
and I
it is
think
a
hers is the next season.
heterosexual love story.
I'm sure.
Well, so what's interesting though, and something that I would like to touch on is that Kat, you will recognize this when you watch this.
mm-hmm.
This is historically coded, but it is not historically accurate on many things.
Absolutely. Oh, on almost
So-
nothing.
Almost nothing. The costume designer talks about how they basically break down the costumes into 3 parts: 1/3 history, 1/3 fabric, 1/3 art. The
Ooh.
fabric and the art are not historically accurate. So he says what they do is they choose the silhouette from the time period. They then create the fabrics for the show, but the fabrics are not necessarily fabrics that would have existed in the time period. And then the art factor is part of the story. So for instance, you know the Cressida character? Cressida, who I think is going to be a character who steps into that LGBTQ world. I think she'd be a wonderful. Yeah.
I like that they dress her
her-
like a character from the Hunger Games. Every time she appears, it's like Happy Hunger Games.
The costume director talks about this season, especially her costumes get bigger and bigger and
They're
bigger,
getting
and it's meant
more
to be a
insane.
physical representation of a gilded cage, that she
Oh.
is disappearing into what everybody else expects her to be.
I thought it
And
was just her
so-
slowly losing her mind. Like,
Well,
no,
that
put
too.
another bow on it.
Yeah. But as we've established in the show, the characters don't necessarily have control over their costumes, which is why Penelope's choice to change her costume is so vibrant. So, Kat, she's on her quote 3rd season of the Marriage Mart. And the Marriage Mart basically after
She's an
a
old
girl-
maid.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
no.
turn, is it 16 or 18 that they're debutantes?
It's one of them.
16.
It might be 16.
They get presented basically, and then they're quote out in society. And at that point, when they're out in society, they are now basically eligible to get married. And most of these young ladies get married within the first 1 to 2 seasons that they are out in the Marriage Mart. And this is a problem for Penelope because she's now in her 3rd season. And the first 2 seasons, her mom has been controlling her outfits. And she looks like a freaking painted pineapple. Like,
They picked like the worst colors for her. They're like,
Intentionally.
make it so bright yellow that it hurts my eyes to look
Mhm.
at. Like, make her hair really weird. Make her outfits like fit her very poorly because she's supposed to be like somebody that you would overlook because she's dressed like a McDonald's character, basically. It's
But
like,
then
is that
season?
Ronald McDonald over there?
Is that a pineapple? They
Yeah,
choose
is
this
that a
season,
pineapple for sure?
She's always historically been a wallflower. So literally, the term wallflower comes from this date and age in the Regency era, or the idea of ballrooms, that people who were hanging out against the back wall were people who were never asked to dance, but wallflowers always see what's going on. They always
Yep.
hear what's going on.
And that's why she is Lady Whistledown, because she might not be taking part in all the conversations, but because she's just sort of hanging back, she hears what everyone is saying.
But why does she want to spread all this gossip?
She likes gossip. I will say, I wanted
she is
to
a-
quickly.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I wanted to quickly hop in with Danny's comment here, which is the Featheringtons, which are Penelope's family, are new money. So the mom thinks that bright citrus colors will show how wealthy they are,
Clearly they're wrong.
like the rich people today who drip themselves in Gucci to show off. Yeah, exactly. They're like bright
Yeah.
colors, they're essentially they're peacocking. They're like, if I wear
Yeah.
bright colors, people will think
Literally,
we're
yeah.
super rich.
But it's Penelope, she's hearing and seeing all of these things, but ultimately her main passion is writing. She likes to write. She wants to be a writer, and she is desperate to get away from her family. She wants to be self-sufficient.
That I've seen.
So she starts writing and then getting published, and she is making mounds of money that she's keeping literally under a floorboard. So that eventually she can be self-sufficient enough and not have to do what her family says. She just wants to read a book and look at Colin Bridgerton all day, and then she's perfectly happy. So
yeah, I think we see that in this episode in particular, which is that after her mom's like, I'm so glad that as a spinster you'll be around to take care of me. She's like, uh-oh, time to get hot now. I gotta get hot. I gotta get a husband. I gotta get out of this house. So yeah, you can see like how her family, how she is the odd one out in her family. She's got like a mean sister and a dumb sister. The mom's always up to schemes of some kind. She's just like, you know what? I've tried it the old fashioned way, sitting against the wall. I've got to do something different. It's makeover time. Like this season, I'm taking it seriously. I am getting a husband. I don't even care who he is. I gotta get out of his house.
And she does so good with her makeover.
Oh my God, so good. I cheered during the makeover.
Choose. Oh, when she walks into that ballroom, here's what got me, Morgan. When she walks in the ballroom and it took me a second to realize what cover they were playing with the A, B, C, F, U, but the violin version. And she walks in and it's her like Cinderella moment. Everybody's staring at her. Colin locks eyes with her. And Kat, little back history here. Penelope Featherington has had a crush on Colin Bridgerton since season 1. She has been in love with this man. But
you guys imply that.
At the end of last season, she overhears him in her wallflower status, telling everyone that he would never, ever court Penelope Featherington. Meaning that he basically would never, fighting words in Regency era.
How dare he?
And it's one of those things where you as the viewer are like, okay, well, we happen to know Colin is just trying to make himself seem like he might be saying things he doesn't really mean. But in this day and age, in any age, if you say something, even if you don't mean it, it can still hurt people. And so we enter this season with Penelope having sat with this for anywhere between 3 to 9 months. I'm unclear on exactly how long.
That's some amount of time. Some amount of time has passed.
To sit there and feel it. And so we enter this season and she's literally like in a depression mode, and it gets worse over the next episode. And I actually thought, Morgan, that sort of self-deprecating, maybe almost like overwhelming level of self-hatred and lack of self-confidence, depression that they represent. I thought they did that really, really well.
I thought they did it too.
Feel that, especially the second episode, like her I might die and never have been kissed thing. Like she genuinely means it. She is just like, all I want is to be loved even for a half moment. But
yeah, I think she's been really honestly such a major character throughout all the seasons. And I think that's why, for me, I love her and like Eloise so much more than a lot of the other characters, because they were big characters in season 1 and they were big characters in season 2 and now they're big characters now. And so that's why I think maybe this season for me has been most exciting, because I was like, I love Penelope. Like she's been a major character all along. I've been waiting for her glow up this whole time. The hair and makeup people have been doing her real dirty, and it's finally her time to shine. And so, yeah, I think, you're really way more connected to these characters this season just because you've been seeing what they've gone through in the previous seasons. And yeah, what she has gone through. I mean, Kat didn't, because she has no context. But
the cliffhanger from episode 1 makes no sense to Kat. She is so confused by
a lot of it didn't make sense to me. So I was like,
why does this mean anything to me?
Yeah. Colin Bridgerton saying, if I ever find out who Lady Whistledown is, I will destroy her life. And we're
Kat's
all like,
okay.
no,
And we're like, no.
You
Because
know.
some drama is gonna pop off when he finds out. Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
that kind of leads me, but that does lead me to the question of like the bigger question about Bridgerton. Like, obviously, it does feel very like old school storytelling. It's things we've seen before. It's very straight. It's very the language is old timey. Like, what makes this show so popular, and what makes you guys so excited about it?
There's a couple things for me, at least.
Yeah.
The first is that there's something about that giddy feeling sensation when you know that a character's about to walk into a room and you're like, oh my God, they're going to kiss. 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 They're going to kiss.
But
What
also,
if
do you feel like
what if their hands brush each other?
It's escapism. It's
but also
in
like
world...
the women don't really feel to have that much power because it's so backwards and so I got to be courted by a guy.
But I think that's just sort of the time period. They're just like sort of working within that time period. Like if you read any like Jane Austen, that's kind of when all like the Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility stuff came out. And it's really, really your option as a woman was mostly, especially as one of those upper class women who's trying to just kind of like get more money or get some money, is like, you're trying to find a husband and you're just trying to sort of do a harm reduction. Like, I need to find the husband that's going to suck the least. And a lot of these women, usually in these stories, you'll have like the one woman who's like, I don't care about getting married because I'm a strong, independent woman. And then of course they fall in love. But yeah, it's very Jane Austen coded. I think it's very like Regency romance, and if you're into that kind of stuff, it is very fun to watch.
Yeah. And it's that idea of like, they talk a lot about the idea of quote love matches, because in this time period it was very, very normal for a woman to just literally be like, okay, I guess you're, as Morgan said, the least shitty of these options.
Or it was like
see that.
It was literally their career prospects, right? So like you weren't looking at this guy so much as like, oh, he's so dreamy. You were like, how much does he make a year? Because this is all my money. That'll be all my money forever for the rest of my life. And like, can he support me?
I was going to mention this with Danny. That's the thing. Obviously, I noticed the most is race, which is interesting to see that.
So Danny's comment was, I love the remaking of history to allow non-white people a place in high society. So I'm not watching a history show that is 100% white. And I think that is one of the really fun things about Bridgerton is that like, why shouldn't people of color get to watch a sort of frothy Regency era show? Like, why do those all have to be entirely white? Like, why do they all have to be entirely white people? So the world of Bridgerton is very colorblind.
Because of last season's couple as well, it seems like.
Well, the first season, the Duke was an African American actor.
Which
is obviously historically not gonna happen, and that was something that Shonda Rhimes wanted to do very clearly.
Shonda Rhimes does this show?
It is a Shondaland joint.
No, I know nothing about this show.
This is a Shonda Rhimes show.
And it's meant to be as colorblind as possible. She has to work within the story. I do think there's a severe lack of LGBTQ representation. I hope they change that, but this season is working towards a lot more diversity as far as certain disabilities go, and it's getting a lot of praise on the representation. They have a character in a wheelchair.
Yes,
they
that
have
was
had
very
a character who was speaking in ASL.
That was awesome as well. Yeah,
we don't see in this episode unless I missed it.
I think it was when they were all coming out in high society, and the girl signs like, "Did I do a good job?" And then the mom signs back like, "Yes, you did."
And then there was also, it might be in the second episode, there's another whole conversation that goes on in ASL. It's very short, but it happens. But the other thing that they're actually, you learn more a little bit later on that people are picking up on is that Francesca might be a character who's autism coded.
Yeah,
she
that's what
talks.
I was
saw
that's
that.
what we were thinking about
There's a
as
lot of
well
reading
when we
about
were
that.
watching it. Yeah, because she does seem like she has like she's not that interested in the marriage mart or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. So and she just
Sounded
seems
a lot for her.
yeah, and she's very she's really really into music and
Yes.
that's her thing that she's really into and that's her sort of the main way she seems to interact with the world.
Yeah, and she physically cannot stand to be in a certain place with a certain level of stimulus. She actually has to go find places of quiet. And you get more of that in the second and third and even fourth episode. But in the fourth episode, there's one point where she actually kind of blatantly says something she's not supposed to. And she goes, "In truth, I don't like it because it blah, da, 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 da." And she goes stream of consciousness, which is representative of certain levels of kind of that neurodivergency.
Mhm.
And she goes into great detail about a very specific way that music should be written. And I was picking up on that, but then it
Yeah.
wasn't until I actually saw people talking about how
That's exciting that people are talking about because I
yeah.
also picked up on it and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into things, but I'm excited that other people are like, hey, it would be really cool if that's kind of where they
Mm-hmm.
were going with this
Yeah.
character.
So I've enjoyed that.
I just want to also add that Danny said that's why Queen Charlotte is so interesting. They dig into how she is marrying King George, changed things for POC.
Yeah. And obviously
Oh,
that's a little
cool.
bit of a alter history.
Yeah, absolutely. It
But
wasn't great for people of color back then in the Regency
no.
time period, especially not in those upper echelons of society.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice. I think the thing that I like about Bridgerton is just this show is just pure escapism, and I like that they have they have people of color in this. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like a kinder, more inclusive Regency era because it's as much as I like watching these old school this or that or Sense and Sensibility, this kind of brings a modern twist to it. So you do have the outfits being a little bit more modern. You have the Vitamin String Quartet playing, I don't know, a Taylor
Mm-hmm.
Swift song in the background.
Wrecking Ball.
Right, yeah, Wrecking Ball. It's modern. It's modern enough, but it still kind of keeps on to those Regency tropes of she has to get married and oh, but the Duke is so rakish.
And it's
and I think for me personally, there's just elements that aren't modern enough, which obviously we've talked about in the past. But there's shows why do I like Hamilton, or why even if I could watch Six or Dickinson, the
mm-hmm.
just because there's something about it that feels 2024 or feels modern, and I think that's again different strokes for different folks type situation. But that's what makes this so dense is the language. It's the idea that it is so much for people who enjoy that type of storytelling without. It's Hamilton, I think, is a great example of this is a historical piece but gives it a modern twist. And I think that's what makes it hard for me to kind of get into because it just feels so unbreakable in that regard.
It's meant to be a little bit fluffy happily ever after.
Yeah.
It's meant to be that Beauty gets with the Beast, Cinderella gets with the Prince. Ultimately what characters are going to get together. And so it's interesting because a lot of it is also how's it going to happen? What's going to happen? What's the drama
of it. The drama of it.
Season 2, the whole time, most of the time, Anthony Bridgerton is engaged to marry his main love interest's sister.
Yes.
This season, the end of the first episode that you watch, Penelope is Lady Whistledown, and she's so frustrated with Colin that as Lady Whistledown, she writes something really terrible and scathing about him that he's going to read. So ultimately, when he discovers that, he's going to be heartbroken.
Well, I can't wait for the second part of the season.
Wait.
Things are going to pop off. But yeah, I think
yeah,
exactly. It's not what is going to happen because in romances they tend to end in a happily ever after. It's kind of it's kind of like the contract that you're getting when you open a romance novel. If you got to the end and it's and then they hated each other and they got divorced you'd be like, what just happened to me? This is not what I signed up for. But the fun of it is the journey. What crazy stuff is going to happen? What stuff is going to pop off? How do they overcome these obstacles? That's the fun of these kind of romances.
It's like Splash Mountain. The fun is on the okay, maybe not Splash Mountain because Splash Mountain's actually super racist. But it's like when you're going up to the top of the roller
It's Tiana's
coaster.
Bayou now.
Yes, just like Tiana's.
It is the idea of like it's almost it's for people like us who were into it. It's this idea of like when you read a fairy tale and you know that they're gonna get together, or you are reading a different version of a fairy tale. It's how is it gonna happen? But there's also something nice about not being stressed while you're watching it, and I think that's really attractive for a lot of people in this day and age. It's just those moments where you're like, oh my God, I'm smiling. Oh, I'm cheering. I'm laughing. Or the moments where you go, oh no, he's going to find out. And you know it's going to get better. There's something really attractive about that escapism, especially for me, to just being like, oh my God, I'm giggling like a little girl. Or wow, her costumes are really pretty. It's just it's a popcorn movie, but in a romance form. And I find that very attractive. But I really liked this episode because it was a little bit different. There were a lot of moments like where I literally felt Penelope's despair, where she was getting more and more sucked into the fact that even when she changed her entire wardrobe, she still didn't know how to talk to guys.
You can't listen. You can glow up, but you can't change awkward. Is the thing.
Correct. And then Morgan, when he shows up at her house.
Stop it. Get out of here, you sexy pirate.
I was like, oh, what? I'm like, he was here, and he immediately goes to apologizing to her. I'm sorry I said that. I have grown a lot since then. I really value our friendship. Can we still be friends? And she's sitting there going, I'd like to be more than just friends, but if this is all I get, okay.
Exactly.
Which
heartbreaking.
I love. And it's the kind of communication you wouldn't actually necessarily get in the Regency era. So that's why it's attractive.
Absolutely not. Actually, I would love to talk about, we've talked a lot about Penelope's glow up. She looks great. Yeah. She's thriving, beautiful, thriving. Let's talk about Colin's glow up, because he comes back looking like a sexy pirate, immediately takes off his shirt to let everybody know that he's the main male love interest this season. He's like, I'm sexy now.
What?
And just like bursts his shirt off.
So good.
I think it's very funny that they were like, what are we gonna do about Colin? We need to make him sexier. And they're like, what if he was just a pirate? What if he's just he comes back, he's a sexy pirate? Is everyone into that? And like as the season progresses, we'll talk about it more in our Patreon exclusive, but as the season progresses, it dresses more and more like a sexy pirate. He's wearing like vertical stripes. Like it's like he might as well just have like the little hat on with the big feather. Yeah,
he's just pulling a full Will Turner.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
He looks like he just stepped off the set of the Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm like, what's going on with Colin? I don't
travel the Caribbean.
I was like, maybe. I don't like that this is working for me. I think that says very bad things about me.
I learned in all the behind the scenes interviews that are now all over my Instagram feed that apparently he had like his hair was a major issue because they kept putting the hair on and it wouldn't stay. So they would have to fix it, or their curls. And there were literally days where Penelope, the actress for Penelope, was not allowed to touch the hair. So they had to do different hair and different styling for scenes they knew that she was going to touch it, because after she touched it, she would ruin it. And so if she touched it on the non-touching hair days, she would be yelled at by makeup and hair.
That's
for
so funny
his hair.
Because I watched an Instagram reel, of course, and it was like the actors for Colin and Penelope watching the carriage scene, which we will talk about in our Patreon.
I saw that one too.
Oh my God. And she immediately she touches his hair. And now I understand what the joke was, which is that she can finally touch his hair with a band in.
Yep. No, that I like too, where they were talking in that clip how she was getting notes that she looked like too good a kisser. I don't know if you saw that clip.
No, I didn't see that part of the clip.
That she was too good a kisser, and they're like, you have to remember, Penelope has never been kissed. She never been kissed.
It's Drew Barrymore time, baby.
Mm-hmm. The last thing that I want to mention we're going to talk about. Have you seen the quote about the physical authenticity of when he pulls her dress back up?
Oh, no.
Watch this is all I'm gonna say. Watch the carriage scene.
Uh-huh.
The end of the carriage scene, end of episode 4.
Uh-huh.
He repositions her dress using 2 fingers.
Oh, Colin.
And people are like, wait a second. He does that. And they were like, was that written? And she goes, no, that was all the actor. She said the moment of, how did she say it? She said, she basically was like, no, that moment of physical authenticity was all him. I'd like to take credit. That was all him. Because I picked up on that and I was like, like this will only make sense to girly girls.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah, no,
guys, you know.
that whole
But let's
scene,
just
yeah.
say you just watch the way he repositions her dress back up and you'll be like, oh, I get now why he's
This episode?
using those 2
No,
fingers.
that's episode
Okay.
4.
Episode 4.
Like,
You didn't- you
We're
didn't
just
make-
off the rails
you
now.
didn't-
For
you
those
didn't
of
make
you
it that
who
far in.
forgot, Cat's here.
I was like,
Cat's also here. I also really like that, you know, obviously this is a season for, you know, non-traditional body types. Like the actress is a plus size girl, and as another plus size girl, it was great to see her take the spotlight. It was great to see her get to be hot after being dressed like Big Bird for 2 seasons. I was like, you know what? The things that they are doing to her are a crime against women and a crime against me. And finally, they let her get to be hot. She got to be the center of attention. She got that moment where she walks in and everybody turns around, and you just don't see that a lot, honestly, for plus size actresses in Hollywood at all. So having her have a whole season where she's like the plucky heroine is so refreshing, and I think is going to be so good for girls who aren't, you know, really skinny, or girls who are curvy, or girls who are a little bit bigger, to see her come down and be like, oh, she's hot, and Colin is into it. That sexy pirate is into it.
Yeah, I really loved that too. And I think that that's one of the things that, as far as Bridgerton still has to go as far as diversity, I think there's something so beautiful and powerful about the fact that when they're creating these roles, there's just so much flexibility. I still am always struck by, you know, as an actress who does theater, I'm struck by when I see casting calls, and I've really enjoyed watching, especially local theater, shift pretty dramatically over the last 3 to 6 years here in San Diego, where they are actively working to find shows with more diversity, find shows where it doesn't matter the race or ethnicity or the gender representation of the actor. There are certain shows where, as for the plot, it has to be certain things, or they're looking for an individual who is represented a specific way. But a lot of theaters, especially the ones that are really powerful, that are coming, you know, a lot of community theaters that are coming to their own in San Diego, are doing shows that encourage diversity. But it always breaks my heart because you look at shows on television, these historically accurate shows. You look at all the shows Keira Knightley's been in, The Duchess, Pride and Prejudice. You look at the Jane Eyres, and white,
Yeah.
white.
And also, it's like, it's one thing where I also kind of go, okay, but I've seen that version 100 times. Like, I will watch every version of Pride and Prejudice, but I've seen that one a million times. And Bridgerton does feel like, okay, it's giving us these stories that are a little tropey, that are a little bit, you know, familiar, but it's giving them to us in ways that are just a little bit different. And some of those ways are, you know, allowing people of color to also have their fun, dramatic, you know, sort of floofy romances. Allowing a plus size girl to be the heroine of a whole season and have her
or an
whole
Indian
romance.
American girl to get the opportunity
Exactly.
to, and that was a really big deal. They did a lot of modification to make that work in the season, and it was
and they didn't, it wasn't like entirely colorblind casting, because even in this first episode where she talks about, like, you know, in India, like, we sometimes live with you know, we have the mother live in the house for a long time. We don't just kick them out. Like, why don't we let your mom keep running the show while we go on our sex honeymoon for many more months, maybe.
Please do. Bring us with you.
Listen, if Jonathan Bailey was in the mix, I'd be like, let's book that honeymoon so it's like, you know, 6 months to a year.
But yeah, overall, I can't really wait. I can't wait for us to talk about more of season 4. Kat, I know it's not your cup of tea, but was there even like a little drop of tea that you liked?
I have to say, I really don't like these type of stories, but I appreciate everything you guys have been saying, and I appreciate that you guys enjoyed it. I think I could see why, and that's why I asked. I was like, oh, why do you guys like it? Like, I want to know why you guys enjoy it, but there'll never be a reality where I like these stories, but that's okay.
Well, to me, it's Gossip Girl, it's the OC, it's a teen drama. It's just set in a different time period. Where they all dance funny and wear little cards on their wrists. But basically, it's all that kind of like XOXO Gossip Girl drama where it's like
I think it's the dialogue. I think it's the dialogue for me. It's definitely it's just the way they talk. Yeah, it's really the reason. Yeah, is the biggest reason.
And you know what, Morgan? If we think about it, I wonder if that's a learning curve that we have that.
Yeah, because we like to read a lot of
in
that time period.
And I'm trying to think if there's an equal, like a different, an equatable. Like
I think again the best way is like Dickinson. I haven't watched all of it, but I've seen clips. It's the way they did this show, but for a modern audience. When they talk, it talks more like a 2024 way, with still doing the poetry and all that. So I think
I've been wanting to check out Dickinson. I hear it's great.
Yeah, I've heard it's good too. I've only seen like clips here and there, but from what I can see, it's like, oh, that's a show that kind of is like a middle ground where it's like, oh, it's set in the time period you guys are talking about. It's very, again, the Gossip Girl before the 1800s, but what they do differently is like, well, we do want to. This show, in my opinion, attracts people that are our age. I think Dickinson attracts people that are like in high school wanting to watch this show. I don't think Bridgerton is like for people that are now seniors in high school. I think it is for people who enjoy reading those books and now, in their 20s, 30s, 40s.
I think I would agree that it's like Bridgerton is definitely like pitched to like an older audience of like people.
But OC wasn't, those type of shows work for teenagers.
Those worked for both. For sure. No. But yeah, I can definitely see that where it's like, the time period. If you don't watch or read a lot of things set in that time period, you're like, wait, what are the manners, because a lot of it is like, what would cause a scandal back then. It's like, oh my God, they caught him kissing.
Or the diamond of the season. What even
the
is
diamond
that?
of the season? Yeah. Or they brushed hands. She put a scarlet letter on her for she is unclean now. And like the idea of like how easy it was to ruin your reputation back then by doing almost anything. Almost anything human would have ruined your reputation. And Danny did point out Dickinson is gay.
It is very gay, which is why I knew about it. But also, Apple TV doesn't have a lot of shows.
They really don't. Besides Ted Lasso, it's a wasteland over there.
Yeah, there's not a ton of shows. So it's just like, oh yeah, that's a show that's on Apple TV. But yeah, no, I think that's kind of hard for me to get into, and it's just. Yeah, there's just nothing there.
It's just not your cup of tea, and that
exactly.
Is,
but it doesn't make it a bad show,
No, and those of you who've listened to our podcast long enough know that we did this just for fun. Realistically, Morgan and I should have approached this differently and totally done a Kat hasn't watched it. Let's ask her ridiculous questions.
Oh, we should have.
Or like, who is this character and what's your backstory? Maybe
pilot pod. It would have been a little any of the
started at the beginning, started at the actual beginning instead of just in season 3. Yeah. I did think it was funny that I didn't realize that you didn't even know who Lady Whistledown was, and I was like, we really should have. Yeah, we should have given her like maybe like a little background on who these cats. I don't know. In hindsight, very bad idea to start in I feel like she could have started in season 2 and been okay. Season 3, you need so much of the backstory.
3 would be okay.
Yeah, but I didn't even think that like Colin and Penelope are such well-established characters from season 1 and 2 that you need all of that backstory. Because also, Kat, Penelope is kind of like low-key ruined Colin's life a couple of times as Lady Whistledown.
She has history with Eloise, and it should be really weird that we see Eloise and Cressida hanging out together. That makes this all
Yes.
weird. Also, fun fact, Morgan, did you know that the actress who played Eloise broke her arm during the season?
Did she?
So she's wearing a cast
Is that why
on
she's
the
wearing
lower
those
half of her
weird
arm.
capes all the time?
She's wearing like an English version of a summer muffler around
Yes.
her hands
Yes.
often. Or why you're like, why is she wearing a weird outfit?
I noticed she
Because
was
they
wearing
were
a
doing
lot
that.
of capes, and I was like,
Yeah,
why
so
is
they
she
could
wearing
cover
a
it.
cape? That's insane. It still
You
looks
can also
warm.
tell when they filmed certain episodes based on whether or not you can see her hand or not.
Oh my god. Well, I'm going to be now in the back half of the season. I'm going to be looking for this a lot
Yep.
more. That's delightful.
Yeah. But it is nice though that like the three of us have recorded together for so long. We knew that Kat was not going to like this, but we also knew that Kat is going to love the fact that we like it.
Sure,
It's
yeah,
like
no,
when
I
you
enjoyed
guys
hearing
force
it.
me to watch reality TV shows.
And it might happen soon.
It might happen soon.
No, but I genuinely
Top
did
Chef is one
enjoy
thing.
Top Chef. At least you have a little interest
It's
in.
one thing, but most reality shows
Top Chef's great. Yeah.
I love trash. But no,
Me too.
it was just fun, like just kind of like sitting in the background and just listen to you guys talk and just hear what you got. Honestly, the way you guys talked about it, like it was easy to understand. It wasn't like, well, I mean, some of it, the dress, like I was a little lost on because I didn't see it. But but there's like, there's most of the conversation like, oh, it's cool that you like this for this, and that, and obviously,
and I think it was fun to have you ask us because I had never really thought about like why I like Bridgerton.
Sure.
So it was fun for me to think like, oh, why do I like Bridgerton? It's like drama, but like there is a lot more to it that it does well. Amy,
Amy, you are muted.
That's hilarious.
There you go.
You said you're here for the drama. I'm here for the like.
You said
happy
longing
ending moments. And
okay.
There's a physical sensation like this, like physical exciting moment. That's almost like when I don't know, you're watching an action movie, or I would imagine honestly for you guys, maybe it's a moment when you're watching a really good horror movie where you feel your heart rate like actually go up. Like this physical sensation of, oh my gosh, I'm feeling it. Like I love the moment when every time, Morgan, that they got into a carriage. I was like, is it happening? Is it happening? It's not happening.
Is this the one?
But the moment
See, I wasn't
like,
prepared for that scene, so
you had
I
no
was just like,
idea?
I had no idea. I just went in blind. It was a great scene.
Only because the actor and actress had talked a while ago before the press tour. They had talked about the fact, two things. One, they broke a carriage filming it somehow.
That's amazing.
There's no details.
That's hilarious.
Second, because they were filming in a carriage and they were, doing the scene.
Yeah.
There was a moment where the director said cut and they didn't hear it. And they just kept going. And eventually we're like, stop.
They were probably
stop,
like, how
stop!
long is this scene supposed to be? How long
And
is this
they
scene
just
supposed to
kept going. And they found out after the fact that everybody's sitting there going, what are they doing? Like, what
Why are they still doing the scene?
We also found out, they talked about like, what did you guys do to like build your chemistry? And the two of them literally said, we stopped hiding it. And I love that from an actress perspective. The two of them, actor, hit it off right away. They became very good friends. They knew they had a natural chemistry. They had to actively hide it, even though they knew their characters eventually got together. So from an actor's perspective, I found that really interesting. Like, what would it be if you had to spend 2 full seasons actively
like reining it in?
Because
I thought that they had good chemistry, but like they're like reining it in because it was like friendship chemistry, and when they got to this season, it got to be like sexual tension chemistry. But they were they were holding it tight.
The thing I want to talk about when we do our Patreon.
We lost Amy.
We lost Amy.
There's a weird way to lose Amy because
I know. There was, you know what? It was thinking about the carriage scene, and then we just lost Amy. But well, hopefully she'll be able to come back into the chat.
But Danny does say it's the only heterosexual show that they'll watch. So
there's just so much drama. Like even if it's like a little too straight for you, there is a lot of drama. Danny also says they also used an intimacy coordinator, which I appreciate so much. Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer that should always be on sets, but isn't always on sets. But it does seem like for the most part, who knows? But it does seem like Bridgerton is trying to do that right, especially as the show tends to have a decent amount of sex scenes in every season. I think
Well, I
we
mean,
might.
even this episode.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Is this the episode where he's like going to to visit the ladies of the evening?
From what yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I couldn't remember because I watched
I
a
watched a
bunch.
bunch.
Oh,
Oh,
Amy
Amy
is
is
back,
back,
but
but
with an echo.
with an echo.
I muted Amy, and then Amy hopefully
nice.
will come back. That way we could hopefully Amy will be fully back. But I think that's interesting too. So
Yeah, I think that's going to kind of wrap us up for Bridgerton season 3. As we mentioned, Amy and I, we are going to record a Patreon exclusive about the rest of the season because we just talked in this episode about season 1 and also just a little preview about the carriage scene.
You guys talked a little preview.
I don't know when my computer cut out, but on my end, it cut out exactly on the thing I'm most excited about.
Yep, us too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
Tell
wait.
us, Amy, what was the thing?
The thing I'm the most excited to talk about is that my friend and I were chatting leading up to the season about how both of us were going to need to be convinced. Like, I didn't actually, like, I sort of saw the chemistry, but I wasn't convinced. I was like, this feels a little awkward to me. So I loved the fact that this has successfully convinced me, and we'll talk about why. Namely, a certain dream sequence that did not belong to the person I thought it was going to belong to.
That helped.
And that's when I'm like, there it is. I'm in. That's it right there. That's it.
I feel like that's when they flipped it, and I was like, okay, all right. I think that was also when I was like,
falling for him.
I'm in. Yeah,
it's him falling for her, and I was like, now that is what we needed to do story-wise to get us in. Anyway.
Yep.
We're going to talk about this.
I see Danny says in the chat, can't wait for the Patreon exclusive. Thank you, Kat, for forcing yourself to watch it. We appreciate your brave sacrifice, Kat.
I appreciate myself as well. But I'm glad you guys will be able to talk about the full season without me somewhere else.
As we mentioned, we're redoing the Patreon levels. Probably by the time you hear this, they will be updated on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/thelegendaryladies. And now, if you want to know what Amy and I thought about the rest of the season, now could be a great time to join to get that Patreon exclusive episode and bonus content and live stream links. So we appreciate you guys so much. And I'm going to go around and see what everybody else is up to, starting with Kat, because I think you probably have 2 to 10 Kickstarters going. So
I do. Right now, we have a detective book that's out that will probably end, so I won't promote that one. But we actually have Transphoria, a trans and non-binary anthology coming out for Pride Month. So go check that out if you enjoy queer storytelling. We are super proud of that one. So that will be out that'll be May 28th. It'll be on Kickstarter.
Awesome. That's really, really cool. Danny says, I expect an hour-long discussion dissecting the carriage scene. Don't worry.
Yes.
It feels like half of this episode was
Danny, the fingers.
Half of this episode feels like it was just us talking about the carriage scene without talking about it. So that I think you can is Amy Morgan guarantee.
The fingers and the consent.
Consent
is
sexy.
Sexy.
The whole thing was very sexy. The whole thing was very sexy. Amy,
what's funny is I was actually expecting more, and so I was actually like, "Oh, the carriage has arrived. I guess we're done." My favorite is I've seen a bunch of videos where people are joking about like what it would be like to be the driver of the carriage. You're like, you're listening. You're like, these kids in the back having fun.
The scandal. Amy, what do you have coming up?
You guys can find me in a production of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. It performs July 11th through July 20th in Temecula, California, in wine country. So it's actually at a winery at night as the sun is setting, Thursday through Saturday nights. It is going to be a stellar production. We have only had 3 rehearsals, and I gotta tell you, this show has not only caused me, I'm not only bringing my A game to every rehearsal, it is raising my A game. I am in a room with exceptionally talented Shakespearean actors, with exceptionally talented actors and actresses in general, and I'm really excited about the level of collaboration we've got going on between all our cast members. So please come see Much Ado About Nothing. It's with Shakespeare in the Vines. You can get tickets shakespeareinthevines.org. If you are a local to San Diego and you would like to come see it, I will hopefully have access to some comp tickets. So who knows? Maybe if you email thelegendaryladies@gmail.com and let us know that you are a legendary listener, maybe I can provide you with a complimentary ticket or not. And Thursdays are all pay what you can, which is really, really nice. It's our ways to give back to the community. We are a community theater, so this is a non-union, non-paid volunteer production. So those of you think about joining our Patreon, you're helping me with gas money.
Yay!
Thanks! So I can do more theater. But we've got so many talented people. Like, we've had people who have literally performed Shakespeare professionally. Like, it's a really, really great production. I also get to scream at one point, like angry rage scream. Like, I'm so excited. It's gonna be really, really good.
That's awesome. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. I'm so sad I'm not in San Diego and can never go see any of your good shows.
Just come to Comic-Con a week early, guys.
Just a week early.
Just a week early.
Just gonna roll around San Diego for an entire week.
You can spend a couple days in LA. Temecula's right in the middle.
That's true. Listen, everybody should make the trip out to San Diego Comic-Con a week early to see Amy's show.
Also, actually, genuinely, if anyone is interested, Hero Within, the group that I generally do Comic-Con booth stuff for, we are looking for 1 to 2 more booth people and sales people. So you get the opportunity to attend a con on behalf of Hero Within. It is a paid gig. So if anyone is interested, reach out to me and I will direct you to Tony. We're taking applications right now pretty quickly here. So you do not have to be local to San Diego. You may have to have accommodations available for you. So that's still kind of, I don't know anything on that level. I'm not in charge, but if anyone would like to, if you want to get a ticket to Comic-Con by also working Comic-Con, but having a great time with Star Trek fans, let me know, because Here Within is a great group to work with.
When is Comic-Con this year?
The week after my show. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so like
around that time. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. It's sometimes it's like in the middle of July, sometimes it's at the end. It's hard to know.
And this time,
Star Trek Las Vegas is a week later.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Lots of busy time. A busy time.
Whew. Yep.
And you can find me as a co-host on Supergirl Radio, where I don't remember what we're talking about this week. Last week we did Rebel Moon, and then we are soon going to dive into the new season of My Adventures with Superman, the animated show, where Supergirl looks to be popping up at some point this season. So we're pretty excited about that. And as usual, you can email us your thoughts at thelegendaryladies@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube, where you can see our recording of this, youtube.com at the Legendary Ladies. You can find us on Instagram at the Legendary Ladies, and on Twitter at legends_podcast, and probably a bunch of other places I am forgetting. So make sure that you follow there and, join the Patreon. And I think until next time, stay legendary.